What the?
Who's that guy with all the gray in his beard? How are you? Good. Fun to be back. Got a lot of changed faces. I think there's 5 or 6 guys kind of left on that team. I love being in this building. I shared with them the first time I was not employed and played here, I would still make that drive and get on 150 Highway and be like, oh yeah, I don't work there anymore, which is a good thing because I got to be in these halls for a long time. Special seeing all the coaches, Coach Reed, Tobe, like everybody, Spags. You know, he got there at the tail end of my career, and he's been a special person to me too. We haven't had as long of a relationship, but like he'll text and be like, man, you know, looking forward to seeing you, doing stuff like that. Special humans that the Hunts, Donovan, everybody that have brought this like collection of men. So very proud that I could be a part of it for as long as I did.
How did this come about to do the retirement and sign contract?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously been like done and retired and stuff, but it was something that they had always talked about. And I think every year, you know, they're pushing for championships, and I think there has to be a certain quota for things, and so it just hadn't worked out. I've been busy the last 2 years coaching at Tennessee on that special team staff with kickers and punters and snappers, holders, like the whole, you know, quality control of that. So I just hadn't been able to make it back when it was to bang the drum or like do some philanthropy stuff. And so this just worked out perfect timing. We had a couple days off and got to see all my buddies again. It was fun.
Sounds like you had one more punt at practice, and
I did.
Not so bad. What can you describe that?
Well, the first one he purposely snapped at my feet, but practical joke or so like that. That's going to happen to you. But it was good to see those guys again. Probably an ugly punt, but it was the result that I wanted. I'll say that. But good to be back again. I kick and practice a lot and stuff to our return guys. I've taken everything that Dave Tobe did and try to instill it in like our punt returners, our kick returners, which is just great. Somebody that has mastered the special teams game. And I mean, dude's a head coach, but a special teams coach, right? Like the best there ever was. And same thing for Reed. Coach Reed came in. I remember candid conversations of, you know, him saying, you got to have an ego to be in this business. And, you've heard him say, like, let your personality show. He wanted everybody to be themselves as long as it was, helpful for the team. And so it's good being back with all those guys. Get the last punt. Got the Colquitt jersey. That was clever.
All the games you played for the Chiefs over the years, was the last one your favorite of all those?
Yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl, obviously. I mean, that's the bucket list. Everybody's, pushing to try to get that. A lot of guys, Bruce, like guys that didn't get championships that you're like, he deserves one. And so I'm very lucky that we had just a group of guys that, Kelsey still playing at a high level, and Pat came in, and you could see that right off the bat, him coming in, and man, before the ball gets to apex, it's like that's a touchdown. Like they can't guard that many people on the field. And the Super Bowl was like that. It was out of body experience, but I think my favorite was that first like AFC championship, the Lamar Hunt Trophy. Watching the Hunts kids that I used to like carry on the sidelines and like hug for good luck on the sidelines, now like grown and appreciating. There's a lot of guys in this room right here I'm looking at that saw some crazy football here, and man, from 13 on, it's been a whole different script. So it's so fun to watch it play out. I mean, people are saying like it's scripted. You do this, like no, they're just really freaking good. So that's the AFC Championship game was just the pinnacle, the most emotional, because it's like probably the first time where you like actually look out. You're not like so engaged in like, don't look at the fans, concentrate on your job, give the defense a long field, keep the field goal kicker employed, like all those things. And then you look up in the stands and everybody's just, it's like a religious experience.
What about those years before Andy got here? There were 8 or 10 of them for you before this coaching staff got here. I mean, did you feel like, hey, that kind of thing, that you never get a chance to experience that? I mean, there were some pretty, you don't need me to remind you, pretty bad years.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, I had buddies that I played with in college who were like, get out of Kansas City. You got to go somewhere and win. And you're like, I'm punting a lot. That's good for me. And so, like, that was part of it. But too, like, that once, but we had like good coaches in the, like, I mean, Dick Vermeil, his whole staff. Herman Edwards was great. They didn't give him really a quarterback, and there are storylines there. Like in 2013, Donovan, made these big decisions behind the scenes, and Clark Hunt, I had him on my podcast Hang Time, kind of looking back at that and letting him retell that story of saying like we're not a small market, and so they've refused to buy into that business and made this, and you can see in the city. I mean. We were just talking about this. You got rooftop bars and people out and doing stuff, building new highways. Like, I mean, this place is exploding. And I think it's centered around some of the decisions that the Hunt family made in that, early January of 2013.
You left out a couple of the head coaches.
Not on purpose or anything like that.
Just double. Dave was in here telling us how many kickers you held for and head coaches. I just wanted to double check the math. So you must have gone over it with him. So it was 9 kickers.
Yeah, I think it was like 9 coaches, 5 GMs, 5 head coaches, like just a lot of people that came and go. But obviously these guys have been, other than plugging a couple guys here like Spags, and now there's several new coaches that I'll walk in, I'm like, man, we got new guys again, and all new faces except for 6, on the player side of things. And holding was for me a great distraction of a very stressful position, because a punter is you have a punter or you have a weapon. And if you're not a weapon, you don't stay in this league for very long. And so I really wanted to focus on giving my defense a really long field. I watched film and saw defensive guys leave the sidelines, pointing back up for the good field position. And it was like, gives you that drive.
Dustin, having seen so many eras of this, what did it mean to you to be a part of the fact you won the first playoff game in 15, you brought that Lamar Hunt trophy in to get to the pinnacle of the Super Bowl from where you were in 05?
Yeah. In Houston, they did not fling those towels for very long. They were like this, and then 6 seconds later, Niles in the end zone, and it was just like, all right, we're rolling. It was, I think back of a picture I have on my phone of I've shirt off, we're barely, out of the showers, and Mitch is like hugging me and Derek Johnson, and we're like, it's happening here, something is brewing. And so you could kind of see it. It was, somebody coming from a 4-12 Philly, they come in and they win the first 9 games. City's on fire. Everybody's going to work happy, leaving work happy. You know how the city is. It is revolved around these 2 parking lots a lot of the time, and so just special to be a part of that, and so glad that I remember Rick Burkholder saying like, if he wins this, Andy, maybe he's done, I don't know. And I remember after that game, like once you feel that, it's like he's never gonna give this up. They're gonna have to drag him out of here. I'm sure Tammy's waiting for that day.
Dustin, do you feel like because of coming to that pinnacle that you appreciate all the hard times all the more, that it's all the way you would have wanted it to be after all, despite some painful times?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's guys that played really good ball for Andy that didn't get a Super Bowl, like the Jamal, Derek, Tamba. I mean, the list goes on, and all those guys are very deserving and kind of built this program and what I would call like the standard of what Andy and all them brought, the expectations. I think of 2015 going for London, we're 1-5, and we're like, what are we going to do? Nobody's even going to be flying their flags in London on this game. And Andy didn't panic. He said, we're going to win. We got to win all the way. We got to win out here, and we did. And I remember just in his voice and the way he carries himself, and all the coaches and the players that had been there through those hard times, that definitely kept us on track to keep kind of that push. And then once you get, once in a generational players in your building like Pat, I know everybody talks about him, but like he's a leader on, off the field, raising a beautiful family, doing everything the right way. So when you got guys that are selfless like that, that's what all the success is.
Is it all the sweeter for you for having had the struggle too? I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where I always loved coming to work. I always loved it, but you have drama in the building. There ain't no drama in this building, like that. And it's fun to, even though I'm not a part of it anymore, I still get welcome back. Love that. The guys are still the same. They have not changed since he was sitting in another table at a pregame meal and everybody was around Alex Smith. All those guys are solid dudes, and that's why they're having the success.
You've been here long enough. A lot of us have. This building wasn't here when you
Yeah.
started. I mean, it's just everything has kind of changed around here and gotten bigger and better, I guess. That's a Hunt family thing as well as the voters in Jackson County to pay for some of this stuff. But just what was it like? You guys drive down here yourselves and have your little practices and all that stuff. This
Oh, yeah.
is a little bit different, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember being in meetings here and then driving your car down to practice and then driving back up to eat, and raccoons would walk down that little tunnel down there cereal would be all over the place. Billy, a strength coach, would be cooking Fridays, ribs, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then, 2009, they started making I don't know when those renovations started. I think it was about 2009. And you're like, man, this is becoming like an SEC type school. And you already have SEC fans here, like they're crazy. Never seen grills blow up any other parking lot in the world except for here. And, just to see the growth around this place and for people in the public to be able to come in here and get treated like in the facility like that. The Chiefs have always been huge in the community, but like that was preached by Dick Vermeil, Carl Peterson, the Hunts. Like in your contract, you're doing 5 things and you'll end up doing 50. So I want you to see that, but you'll do more. And it's just the people of this town. But love seeing the growth. They're doing like a player thing. I wish I could have been a part of that. That'd have been a cool place for me to hang out. I wouldn't have gotten in so much trouble pranking people. But yeah, it's fun watching to see like what we dealt with. The first time I sat in the locker room down here, we were doubled up, and I put my clothes on the back of a pop-up chair, and Willie Rofe sat on it, and everything was just soaking wet. I had to like get a whole new everything was got like my khaki shorts were like part stone, part like black. I don't know. It was like just like wet, and now it's like, it's state of the art. So totally
Did you
changed.
send Willie the bill?
Huh?
Did you send Willie the bill for some new clothes?
No, he did it once to me in New York too. He sat on my suit and I had to wear a jumpsuit home. It was like, they do those like hey, O-line, get over here, whiteboard. So they pull all the chairs and my suit was draped on the thing. I didn't even have, visiting lockers back then. Back then, God, wasn't that long ago. But like they pull the chairs over and he just sits down, stuff like that, gets up. So I get after the game and I'm like, that suit was brown. Now it's like a really dark brown from total sweating it out. So,
If you could pinpoint one thing when Andy Reid got here to change the culture, what would it be?
I just think he just did. They had cleaned house, I think, just in the business side. He broke down literally physical wall of the business and football and said, we are all a family, we're all in this together. He made everybody realize that like we have to do this together. If you don't do this, he's got to do it, and it makes it easy if everybody's working together. The physical walls is what I think we felt here prior to Andy Reid and all of these guys getting here into town. And here it's just the big family. Maybe cliche, but he had a standard of when you come here to work, we want you to enjoy coming here. We want you to make the most money as you can. We're not holding back on that. We're going to push the pedal to the metal, and we're going for championships. If you don't want to do that, you don't need to be here.
Last two, Matt.
You mentioned the pranks. Do you have any favorites that you pull over the years?
Camera-friendly version of that was, and how a lot of that came about is me and Christia were having like kids every 19 to 22 months, super tired, and the only time I really got to sleep well would be like on the road. And they had bed checks at 11. Is it still at 11?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. And so like I would fall asleep at 9 because I'm exhausted from all week. Like I would do the dream feed and all that stuff. And so I'd be like, do not knock on my door. I'm not going to be leaving. As soon as the meeting's over, we watch the highlight film, I'm going to bed. Well, they'd come and like, Colquitt! So I just, and they'd open the door, make sure you're physically there. And so I would just be naked. And I stopped getting checked because it was like, it wasn't anything personal, well, some of it was just then the guys were like, hey, you got to get this guy. Then it became a whole thing. But it was more of, I wanted sleep finally. And so guys would come in and I'd be like, if you come in, you know what you're getting into.
That was his question, so thank you, Dustin.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Congratulations.